Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Nona from thelinelover.com. I have another video for you in my series. We are looking at coats for the fall and winter seasons. Last week we went over romantics. Today we are looking at the theatrical romantics. So our first example is of the sleek long coat. This trio of coats are rather different, but they do all kind of satisfy these guidelines that will really enhance the theatrical romantics silhouette. Starting with the collar and shoulders, we get a mix of narrowness and sharp angularity along the lapels, the collar, the shoulder shape. This really frames the face and upper body, and it provides balance when wearing such a long piece of potentially heavy fabric. If you imagine this long coat without the sharp shoulders, without that crispness there, and instead, with rounded or sloped shoulders, you can imagine that it gets a bit bottom heavy and it can drag down the silhouette, especially a petite silhouette, rather easily. So having this pop at the top helps frame the body and keep the outline balanced. Now, if you want to enhance this effect, you can raise or slightly pop the collar to exaggerate the narrowness of the neck against the squareness of the shoulder shape. As this is indeed a sleek and long coat, we are looking for a slim, form-fitting silhouette that has no excess volume at the sides, no bulk, and even when you leave the coat unbuttoned, it should only open slightly so that it's not spilling out or opening up to the sides to create a sense of width. Again, we are outlining the body from the shoulder to below the knee in a sleek shape. So keeping the coat form-fitting is really essential for wearing this type of coat. And the fabric that will help you succeed in that is going to be moderately thin so that it can maintain the coat shape without adding bulk and while draping smoothly along the body. Our next example is a sharp blazer, and for the collar and shoulders we get an even more exaggerated version of the collars and shoulders we just talked about in the previous slide. So we're looking for even more sharpness along the shoulder line. You can do a nice strong shoulder pad, a more narrow kind of fit along the neck with a more angular notched lapel and collar. What matters is really upping the crispness and sharpness here. The blazer is ideally going to be a bit tapered, nothing straight, nothing boxy, nothing wide. And for this particular case, I do recommend a longer blazer because that will help outline the body more sleekly. It won't interrupt the waistline by kind of cutting it around the halfway point of the body, which can begin to look top heavy or bottom heavy. Instead, with this blazer uniting the top and bottom halves of the body, we get more continuity and we're not looking at the body in terms of more harsh ratios. Alright, let's look at some Lush coats that will work for the Theatrical Romantics petite, gentle curves that do require a bit of sharpness. Obviously, with a more Lush coat, like in a fur, a faux fur, we're not going to have as much crispness in the shoulders because the material just doesn't work that way. But having more angularity in the way that it opens up along the shoulders and the neckline will really help define the upper body. And if you do want a bit of belting, a little gentle belt will work just beautifully. Tapering is great too, or you don't even need to enclose the coat or close it, secure it. You can just wear it down as is. It will just really outline the body, because if you do a very strong kind of belt, what can happen with this material is that it can create more volume above and below the waist, which can begin to interrupt that nice sleek silhouette. it's not going to behave like a dress would just because of the material. Alright, for something a bit more practical, a nice down coat. There's so many down coats, but if you can find one that has a less puffy kind of design, it will work beautifully. Obviously, they all have this kind of puffiness to them. That is the nature of this coat, but there are degrees of volume, so the less of the volume, the better. We want a bit of widening at the shoulders and narrowing at the neckline here to define the upper body, a bit of tapering at the waist, and a bit of flare at the bottom to create a bit of shape. This kind of coat is not the best for long and sleek, so instead we need to create more shape. And here we have different coats with different levels of waist detailing. I know I've said a lot throughout this video that you don't need to belt, but if you do, I recommend getting a trench coat that has a kind of higher belt here for thicker materials, because that way you get more of the narrowness of your rib cage, which is where most people are the narrowest, and it will lay a little bit more flat. It just creates a really nice silhouette for such a petite kind of curvature. If you want something longer in a thinner fabric, you don't need to go as high, but you also don't need to go as cinched. What matters is the kind of tapering of the coat, the general outline. So we don't need to hyperfixate on cinching at the waist, or if you don't want to cinch at all, having some sort of visual markers, some detail to draw the eye inwards at the waist level can also create detail in that area. Now for aspects to avoid, anything really boxy, short, with no contrast between the shoulders, the waist, and the hem, just like this one, that can really cut you in half and just add a lot of volume. Wearing a very oversized coat just drowns such a petite silhouette, and wearing a very slouchy coat that has not enough structure up top, again, will drag down this petite kind of frame. That was it for today's video. Next week we'll go over the gamine family, starting off with the soft gamines. And if you need highly personalized style services, please check out my website, theatricalromantic.com. I'll see you in the next video.